AITA for refusing to go to a meeting with the man who molested my wife when she was a child and not being receptive to any sort of apology from him? Trigger warning. 33 husband and daddy to 2 baby girls, 3 and 1 years old. I met my wife in college and we've been married for a little over 4 years now. After we got engaged, my wife told me there was something serious she needed to tell me before we got married. I learned that when she was around 6 years old, she was molested by her cousin who was in 6th grade at the time. It went on for several months, and it didn't come out until her mom took her to a psychologist because she was acting out so much, i.e. wetting the bed, having meltdowns, fighting at school. I won't get into details, but the things he did were extreme and things that no young children should be subjected to. I actually got teary hearing about it, and it was the first time my wife had ever seen my cry. The cousin pleaded guilty to the crime in juvenile court and it came out that he had also been molested as a child. The cousin served some time in juvenile prison and also got help for his issues. According to my wife, both he and his mother have taken responsibility and expressed genuine remorse. The cousin and my wife have had a few face-to-face meetings over the years and he's told her repeatedly how sorry he is and how much guilt he feels for putting her in the position. He's also asked if there is anything he can do for her and has even offered to pay for her therapy, which my wife has declined. My wife has forgiven him, and feels sorry about what he went through as a child and also the intense guilt he feels for his actions. The families don't socialize or spend holidays together anymore because it's too painful for everyone involved, but I don't think there are bad feelings anymore. With that being said, my wife and her older brother are clear that they don't want their kids near him after what happened. My wife is actually a juvenile defense attorney now and represents a lot of young kids like her cousin. She's great at her job and has a ton of empathy for the kids she works with. I can see how one would have empathy for kids who have been through a lot and then commit crimes, but it's much harder for me to be understanding towards my wife's cousin since I've seen firsthand how much this has impacted her. She has night terrors sometimes, impulsively jerks when someone touches certain parts of her body, i.e. lower back, and had a lot of trouble enjoying sex when we first started dating. I'm glad that my wife has found peace and forgives her cousin, but I personally don't feel anything but rage when I think of him. Anyways, last night, my wife sat me down and told me she had something to speak with me about. Her cousin called her and expressed that he has a new girlfriend. He's been upfront with the woman about his history and about what he did to my wife when she was little. The woman now wants to have a conversation with my wife to better understand the situation, and my wife has agreed to meet them for coffee and describe what happened and how it's impacted her. My wife told me that she also wants to stress that her cousin took responsibility immediately, has expressed genuine remorse over the years, served his time without complaint, and has gone to therapy to work through his issues. My wife says she isn't trying to sway his girlfriend or tell her how to feel about it, but is instead trying to give her a complete picture of what happened. My wife asked if I would come too, because the cousin wants to have a conversation with me as well to express his remorse. He made this offer shortly after we got married, but I told my wife I wasn't in a place to be receptive to his apology. Once again, I told my wife that I'm probably not going to be receptive to an apology. I also said that if he's trying to convince his girlfriend that he's not a terrible person, I shouldn't be there because I'll definitely thwart his plans. My wife seemed confused and asked what I meant, and I said I'm pissed about what he did and can't sit back and listen to her describe what a model citizen he's been after he roped her and not lose my shit. My wife said that he's done everything right since the event occurred and asked what else I expect of him. I said I don't expect anything, but I don't want to be in the same room as someone who did such terrible things to her. My wife reminded me that he was a child at the time and was also being abused at home and said we need to take those things into account when evaluating his moral culpability. I said that when I was in 6th grade, I wouldn't have dreamed of roping an innocent 6-year-old. I said that their cousin hurt her, and as her husband, there's nothing in my eyes that will ever change that. I also said I don't believe she truly thinks her cousin has changed, since she and her brother won't allow their children near the guy. My wife got teary and said that she'd never take any kind of risk with our children even if she was 99.9% sure he'd changed. She also said I was making what happened about my feelings. She said she doesn't understand how I can't have empathy for a man who was abused as a child, made a mistake, and has since taken responsibility and made a genuine effort to make things right with his victim. I said I only care about her, and she said if I cared, I would at least try and see her perspective. My wife has been angry and distant with me all day. She seems to agree that I'm not in a good place to go to the meeting with the cousin, but she's frustrated by the things I said. Specifically, she doesn't like that I brought our girls into it and used her protective instincts against her. I'm not trying to override her feelings on the matter, but also, I think I have a right to have my own feelings towards the person who harmed her. AITA?